Welcome back again, my podcast friends, for another episode of Simple Healthy Choices for Weight Loss. And today we want to talk to you about a very, very helpful tool that you can use in every aspect of your life. And this is something that Theresa actually has learned a lot about and has really studied a lot about it. And we want to kind of give this to you today. And basically, what it is, if you just think of the letters CTFAR or CTFAR, and what these stand for is circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. So what this means when you put it in this order, this is truly what happens is you cannot control the circumstances that happen to you. All you can control is the thoughts that you have about those circumstances. But once you control your thoughts, that is going to lead to your feelings. That's, or what's the term you use? Not lead to your feelings, but these lead to your feelings lead to your actions, and your actions lead to results. So if you don't like the result of something that is going on in your life, you have to change your thoughts about that. And so as we go through this, we're going to use this CTFAR as kind of explain to you how you can use this even with losing weight and becoming healthy. So I'm going to let Theresa kind of take it from here, and then I'll just kind of add things every now and then.
Yes,
baby.
Right. So this was my coach, Brooke, and this is where I studied with her, and she studied also with Byron Katie, if anybody has heard of her work.
Brooke Castillo.
Yeah. And right. And so this is like something that we apply in our lives every day. And so the biggest thing that Brooke talks about is think about what you think about, which is huge if you think about it. Because every single thing that we do starts with a thought. And anything that's been, created in time started from a thought. Somebody thought about doing something. And so we want to apply this CTFAR to our health, our bodies, our weight in any way we can. And so the reason you want to change your thoughts is so that things become effortless. So that, like, if you're trying to lose weight in the beginning, it's very hard. And I think most of you know that, because especially if you've tried over and over and over again to lose weight, you can't lose weight, or you do lose it and it comes back. The key is your thoughts. I mean, that is totally how you're going to be able to do it, because that's going to affect all the other things we're going to talk about here today.
So when you're thinking about your thoughts, you really, really need to look at what results you have right now. And are the thoughts that you have, are they debilitating or are they empowering? Because if you have a result right now that you do not like say you weigh 250 pounds and you want to weigh 150 pounds, obviously that result that you are at now at 250 pounds, there is a thought in your head that has led to you being that weight. And what we want to teach you is, or talk about today, is how do you actually change those thoughts. So the debilitating thought obviously is what got you to where you are. So now how can we change that to an empowering thought that can lead to where you want to be? So that's what we're talking about, is changing from debilitating thoughts to empowering thoughts. And so,
yeah, and this is no way easy. I mean, this takes lots and lots of practice. Like, you have to get up every day and make an effort to think about what you think about. And especially if you want to start thinking about new things. And like Tony Robbins.
Oh, yeah. And Tony Robbins, I love the way he put it. Talking about your thought, think of your thought from the thought that you have to the action you have. Every time you have a thought, you make a little bitty pathway in your brain. And the more you think of that thought, the deeper and deeper that pathway gets, and it starts becoming ingrained. And now that pathway could lead to a nice, quick highway that gets you where you want to go quickly. Or this pathway could be, pathway after pathway end up into a rut. And now you have a rut. And the only difference between a rut and a grave is the depth. So if the pathway you're making is a rut because of debilitating thoughts, we need to change those to empowering thoughts so you can actually make a highway to get to your results even quicker. And I love the way you think about that, because it kind of makes you automatically, when you start thinking a debilitating thought, you want to stop that thought immediately before it becomes a rut in a grave. And you want to change that. And that's how we're going to kind of go through this podcast today.
Right. So I think it helps when somebody gives examples. So let's give some examples, because debilitating sounds really bad, but usually they're just little thoughts, but if they're little thoughts, like he said, they just keep getting deeper and deeper in your brain, and then they become really big thoughts. So like, it doesn't really matter when I start. Oh, I'll just start Monday. Yeah. This is my last big hurrah.
Yeah, these are examples of debilitating thoughts that people have.
Yeah.
This is my last big hurrah. They go out and they eat all this food.
Right.
And then the next day, they don't even feel like exercise. They don't even feel like trying to eat bad. And then you start thinking, well, I ate poor yesterday. I might as well eat poor today.
Yeah.
And so don't go at it like, oh, this is my last big hurrah. I'm gonna go for broke. That's not an empowering thought.
Anyway, and just so these are just things that we've either thought about or we've heard people think about, or tell us that they think. And it's like, so these are just some examples to maybe when you go to sit down to start thinking about what you think about, you want to write those down. This should help. So why should I bother? I haven't been able to lose weight in the past.
Yeah. I've tried everything. Nothing works. I'm just big boned, or I must have a thyroid problem. That's why I'm heavy. Or it must be my genetics. All of these are totally debilitating thoughts. Not only chances are they are not true, for 99.9% of the people, it's not thyroid, it's not big boned, it's not genetics. It has nothing to do with that. And if you've listened to my podcast all the way through, you do know what it has to do with. And it has to do with our dietary guidelines from 1977 that was telling everybody, quit eating fat and eat carbohydrates instead. And now it's killing everybody, because those were wrong things to think. So you're going to have to relearn how you think. And one of the things you need to think about is, one thought you could definitely change is that drug companies and food companies have your best interests at heart. They do not. They have their bottom line of money at heart, and they don't care about your health. So realize that you are on this, and you're not alone, because we are here to help you. And there are thousands of people out here that are trying to get the word out to healthy eating to everybody. Now I digress. So I'll give it back to my wife. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, and then, we hear the excuse about exercise. And although we don't talk about exercise a lot, we do think it's very important, but don't use it as an excuse to not start eating healthy. Eating and exercising are two different things. You can lose weight without exercise. There are some fantastic benefits to exercise, but just don't use that as a reason not to start changing the way you eat.
Right. Exercise is great in so many different things, but weight loss is not one of them. And really what people tend to use exercise for is not to get healthy, but they use it to substantiate their debilitating thoughts. So they go, oh, I can't lose weight because I don't have the time to exercise. I don't have the money to exercise. I don't have the knowledge to exercise. I don't have the space to exercise, et cetera, et cetera. So people actually use exercise more as a debilitating thought to keep them from getting healthy than actually exercising and helping them get healthy. So we want you to wipe exercise off the plate when we're talking about losing weight, losing fat, getting healthy in that way. We're talking food. We are talking what you put in your mouth, because you have 100% control over what you put in your mouth. So you need to get the exercise off the plate. And I've talked about this before, exercise will come in later, but not right now. If you have never exercised before, this is not the time to do it. Once you start losing weight, I guarantee you are going to feel great. You're going to feel great about yourself. You're going to have so much energy. That's when the exercise will come. Okay. I'm sorry, I talked too much again. I'll get back to my wife.
So now we're just looking here at our notes, how we want to change these thoughts. So how do you do this? Well, one of the things is practice and practice and practice. And it takes lots of practice. And it's actually probably something that you will have. I mean, I know just like going over this podcast, we made these notes, and it's like, man, I need to practice more, on my thoughts, because our brains just really want us to go to I guess it's a negative place, but it's just definitely a more comfortable place, whatever some of those thoughts have been that you've had in the past. But you want to practice.
Yeah. And you want to change your thoughts, because you were making pathways that were on their way to ruts, which was on their way to making a grave.
And probably for 20, 30, 40 years for some of us.
So if you change these thoughts and then practice saying them every single day, you're going to make new pathways. And hopefully these pathways, since they're empowering and make you feel better, these pathways will end up to the highway that's going to get to your results a lot better, a lot quicker.
Right. So like we said, you're going to write down your thoughts that you always have, and then you're going to do what?
Decide what to think on purpose.
Right. Yeah. So you want to decide what to think on purpose. And so what would be some thoughts you would like to have, which we're going to give a few examples of those.
And again, you at first, you are going to have to do these on purpose. You're going to have to purposely think about these empowering thoughts, because your debilitating thoughts just come natural. You don't even realize that you're thinking debilitating thoughts until you think about the thoughts you have. And that's what we're trying to get you to do, is think about the thoughts you have, switch them from debilitating to empowering. So you actually do have to think about your thoughts. You have to decide on purpose to think about your thoughts.
Right. Then the next big hurdle is you have to believe them, because you can't just say, I love my body. I love my body. I love my body. When you don't, your brain's gonna be like, you're lying. So you have to start figuring out things to say, because you can't go immediately to I love my body, because hopefully you will at some point, but you have to kind of take these baby steps to get to that point.
And your brain knows if you're lying.
Right.
If you're 250 pounds, because a lot of people say that, oh, you want to think, which I'm not saying anything against this at all, but everything has their place. But a lot of people say, when you write down your goals, write them down like you've already achieved them. So instead of saying I weigh 250 pounds, you say I weigh 150 pounds. But you have to be really careful when you do that, because your brain's going to say, whoa, I'm not stupid. I know I'm 150, or I know I'm 250 pounds. I'm not 150 pounds. So a good way to do that is throw in an extremely powerful word called yet. So if you're 250 pounds, a good empowering thought would be, I do not weigh 150 pounds yet, but I will. And that little thing of your thoughts automatically gives you energy and gives you that power inside you. And that's what you really want to do. You're trying to have empowering thoughts. And that's why it's so important. Sit down and write on paper, write down all the empowering thoughts. And we'll go through this a little bit later too, because really what you're going to end up doing is writing down the debilitating thoughts, the thoughts that you have right now that are keeping you from getting healthy. And then we'll have you switch those into an empowering thought. Then you'll have to write those down, and you're going to have to read them every single day until these you can automatically do it without having to think about it. You actually are naturally think of empowering thoughts.
Right. So just like he said, I do not weigh 150 pounds yet, or maybe I do not love my body yet, but I will. You could also say, though, the weight is not my fault. I've been misinformed on what proper nutrition is through our dietary guidelines, but now I know. What else we have written down there? Sorry, we have to keep looking at our notes.
Or you say, my health is much more important than my addiction for sugar and carbohydrates. That's like an empowering thought.
Right. And I will never be put on medications, or I will get off of these medications.
So find the pressure point that you have, and that's the thought you want to go around. So with me, since I've been a clinical pharmacist for 32 years, I kind of think that I see all the people that I see are the ones who are on multiple medications, and they're miserable about it. And they keep getting put on more and more medications, because all the adverse effects that go with every single medication you put in your mouth, they all have their adverse effects. And so it's more medications. So I would think, if I was on medications, which I am not, but if I was on medications, I would think that an empowering thing for me personally would be, I will never be put on medications, or I will get off these medications. And that actually is an empowering thought that I have. I will not ever be put on medications, and I will do everything I can to keep from that. And that means eating healthy and obviously exercising, but that's not what we're talking about now.
Right.
So these are the things. Find out what your pain point is. What is that debilitating thought you have? And let that be the thought that you try to switch around. And don't make a long list. You don't have to make 10, 15 things. You want to make the things that really mean something to you. It could be one empowering thought or debilitating thought that you switch.
Right. And we talk to people and we hear their thought. because they'll say some other ones, but they kind of keep going back to that one main thought. And what I hear a lot is, I mean, I've tried everything. I hear that a lot. I've tried everything and I can't lose any weight. Well, that's not empowering. I mean, that does not make you want to do the next steps, right?
And as an example along that lines, and I think I've used this in one of my podcasts before, but it was really empowering to me, was a guy who said that he tried everything. I've tried everything. I've tried every single diet. I've done everything. I think I just, for whatever reason, I can't. I don't know if it's my genetics, my thyroid, my bones. I don't know, but I can't lose weight. And then all of a sudden, his daughter ended up with renal failure and needed a kidney transplant. And he was a perfect donor for his daughter. However, because of his obesity, he was not a good candidate for surgery. So now he's changed his thought to saying, I will lose this weight because I'm going to save my daughter's life. And he did. He lost his weight. And the only thing that changed was his thought, because that thought changed his feeling. That feeling changed his actions, and his results are now his daughter is alive and doing well. So again, it all starts with your thoughts. So don't think that this is any little thing, because it's huge.
You know, and another thing, just I'll throw in real quick,
Sure.
is whenever we are trying to change our thoughts and you have a negative thought you keep saying, it's like, doesn't really matter, or why should I bother? Catching yourself is changing your thoughts. I mean, it doesn't seem like it, but it really is like, oh, shoot, I just thought that and I'm not supposed to think that. That's actually a fantastic start. I mean, you are definitely changing your thoughts because now you thought about what you just thought about, which we don't do for the most part. And when you think about it, you're like, oh, I told myself I wasn't going to say that anymore. And I just did. That's perfect. You actually kind of did something to that little groove just then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
starting to make another path.
Yeah. So that is progress right there.
So what we want you to do, we want you to give you actionable steps. We don't want to just sit here and ramble like I tend to do. So the first thing we really like for you to do is sit down and write down whatever debilitating thought that you have right now, thought or thoughts that are keeping you from becoming healthy, from trying to get off medication, trying to lose your fat, and trying to get healthy. So write down your debilitating thoughts. And then what do they need to do?
So then you can look at those and then figure out if you want to change them to more empowering thoughts or just totally get rid of them. So adding the word yet, is a perfect and super easy way to really start changing some of those disempowering thoughts.
Yeah, that's a huge way. I mean, say I weigh 250 pounds or I don't weigh 150 pounds. How debilitating is that? But then you say yet, but I will.
Right.
You just change it to an empowering thought and then read it every single day. So,
write them down, read them every day.
Yeah. Once you change the debilitating thoughts to empowering thoughts, or added some empowering thoughts that you didn't have, like I said, you have to write them down and you have to read them every day.
So that's going to take us back to our CTFAR. So the C stands for your circumstance. And so we're going to give you a couple of examples of debilitating thoughts using the CTFAR and empowering thoughts. So let's say that your debilitating thoughts are your circumstance is what you weigh. That's the example, because you use this in every single thing you do. But
everything you do,
so your circumstance is 250 pounds. Your thought is that I've tried everything and I cannot lose weight. Your feeling is you are unmotivated and doubtful. Even though that's two feelings, we still threw them in there. Your action. So if you are unmotivated and doubtful, what's your action? You continue to probably eat the way you always have. You won't be doing the right actions that it takes, eating healthy or going to the store and preparing your meals, whatever it is your action should be, because we're keeping this real simple. And then your result is you still weigh 250 pounds, if not even more, depending on the years and how much time you're doing this.
Right. And if you never change your actions, then your results are going to continue to get worse. And you can think back with these thoughts that you had, how much did you weigh 5 years ago? How much you weighed 10 years ago? Are you getting heavier? Chances are your thoughts, if you don't change them, when you look next year and the year after that, you're going to be heavier and heavier still with more and more medications. So what do? You change the debilitating thoughts to empowering thoughts. So now how would you do this, baby?
So the circumstance is you still weigh 250 pounds, but your thought could be there is something about weight loss that I don't understand. Your feeling could be you're empowered and you're determined. So you're determined. It's like, I'm going to figure out what it
is it I'm
is.
missing? There's something you're missing because people all around you are losing weight and getting healthy and getting off medications, and you're not. What do they know that you don't
Right.
know?
So when you feel empowered and determined, what are you going to do? Well, quit eating the man-made food, the food that's ultra processed. You're not going to eat that anymore. And then your result is you weigh 150 pounds. So these are just, there's just so many options of the ways you can think and feel. It's what feels empowering to you, so like with Steve.
Make this personal. Make
Right.
it very, very personal.
Right. And it's really hard if we can't be talking to people to kind of see their history or anything like that, or kind of what their thoughts are. But we just wanted to give some examples. It's like, if you could just figure out how to do this process, I mean, it'll change everything. It would change everything with your health. Like we said, this works with everything: relationships, money,
Yes.
your profession, everything, people you work with.
Yes.
For
yeah, exactly. Anything that you do not like how you are experiencing it in life,
right,
because of thought,
right,
and you need to change that thought.
Right, because your thoughts change your experiences in life. Just what he said. It's like, it's just, whenever I heard her talk about this, I know some of you may be out there thinking, well, duh, but it's like, I just never thought about what I thought about.
Right.
When I very first heard this a few years ago, I was just thought it was amazing. It's like, it's not easy, but it's simple.
So once again, just to make sure you understand, we're saying CTFAR. The C is just circumstances. You can't control those. That's what happens to you.
Yeah, she says they can be proven in a court of law, because some circumstances you think are true, but they're not. We weren't even going to go there.
Yeah, that's your thoughts. Yeah.
Right. So your circumstance. So just like that's 250 pounds. You step on the scale. Yep. Everybody here says you weigh 250 pounds. So that is the truth.
But to say I weigh 250 pounds and I'll never be less than that, that is not true. And that's a debilitating thought. Mm-hmm. So only mention the facts and the circumstances, which is you weigh 250 pounds.
Correct.
But then remember, CTFAR, after your circumstances, your thoughts determine your feelings, determine your actions, and that determines your results. So this is very, very powerful, and you may have to listen to it again. I don't know, to make sure, but you'd be amazed at how many parts of your life this could really, really come into. We've definitely noticed it, and we use it in a lot of things anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right. And, and it's just, once you realize, it's just very empowering. That's why we talk about empowering thoughts. It's really empowering to realize that your thoughts can change so many things in your life. And what's great about, if you do have weight you want to lose, that just builds on top of everything else in your life.
Right.
You hear about that all the time when people lose a lot of weight and they just go and they carry that on into something else. And whether they realized it or not, they did change their thoughts.
It happened to us. We were both obese. And we found out about something. Oh, I'm sorry. I was obese. My wife has always been awesome. However, anyway, once we started losing weight, we thought it was going to be all about the weight loss and how much better we'd feel about the weight loss. And come to find out, it wasn't. The biggest thing that changed our lives is the way that when we started losing weight, people started asking us how. We started telling them, and they started losing weight. They started getting healthy. They started getting off medications. They started feeling great. And just from us losing weight on our own, it made us realize that just like we're doing now, that meant that our whole goal really in life, my true God-given passion in life, is to help others also lose weight and become healthy. So, and this wasn't something that we thought about at first. We thought it was strictly, we just wanted to lose weight and get healthy on our own. And now we realize that there's information we have that others don't have, that if they can just listen to what we're saying, it could change their lives. Mm-hmm. So
we're going to wrap it up. I'm just going to say it again, but the most important decision you can ever make is what to think. Every single day, what do you want to think about everything that's happening, good or bad? What do you want to think about it?
And as far as weight loss, the biggest thing of what to think is think about every single thing that you put in your mouth and think, is this making me sicker or is this making me healthier? Basically, is this making my insulin levels rise or is it making it get lower? I mean, just simple little thoughts like that. And if you follow my podcast, you'll know exactly what things make your insulin level rise and how that important that is. But we aren't talking make these huge major thoughts. It's just a quick sentence that you can think very quickly that'll switch you from a debilitating action that you used to have that led to the debilitating result, switch it over to an empowering action that leads to an empowering result. And it all starts with your thoughts.
All right.
So that's all we have today. I know we said the same thing over and over and over again, but that's what you got to do so people remember it and think about it. So please do think about it. And thank you so much once again for listening, and have a great week. And remember, make simple, healthy choices to live a quality life.